So you have a travel blog and you're looking to use Pinterest, whether you are watching this now in 2025 or you fast forward and you're in the future in 2026 and you're looking to seriously build another traffic platform, then Pinterest could very well be the place for you. Now today's video has a few goals. Number one, to explain the different pillars of your content strategy and how they relate to your Pinterest strategy. Number two, it's to help you to build a strategy on Pinterest that's going to help deliver traffic. And I'm even incorporating in some content strategy that includes affiliate links. So if you are promoting travel brands, travel gear, all of that kind of stuff, this is also going to be a good fit for you. Okay, so let's first kick this off by talking about your keyword strategy on Pinterest. I have some keyword categories, just some sample keyword categories that you can start to expand on. I have more of these actually inside of the Academy in a sample Pinterest strategy guide if that is something you're interested in, but these are a few from that same guide. So as you can see here on the screen with the slide, the keyword category examples are destination guides, seasonal travel, travel planning, and budget and luxury travel. And then the example keywords are there as well as the intent, so what phase someone might be in relation to using these keywords, and then kind of the ideal board themes around each of these. So as you're looking at creating a Pinterest strategy, everything is going to start first with your keywords. From your keyword strategy, you are then going to develop your board strategy for your profile, and then you are going to begin developing your content strategy for your Pinterest pins. All of this feels like a lot. It is a lot, but it might feel a little overwhelming at the start. Like, how many boards do I create? How many pins do those boards need? But I want you to stop by thinking about those things, and I want you to start by thinking about what keywords you need first, and then start using those keywords to create your Pinterest boards, and then start creating Pinterest pins for those boards. So instead of trying to think about all the boards that you might possibly ever need for your Pinterest strategy for your travel blog, we're gonna start with what we have right now on the blog. So let's stop now and do just a small audit on your own website. What kind of categories do you cover on your travel website? Those are gonna become the pillars that you are going to create your Pinterest keyword strategy around to start. And then you are going to create your Pinterest boards from those. So in relation to that slide I just had on the screen, your content keywords could be things like your destinations. This can be broken down by country, city, state, province. You could have trip types in there. So is it a solo trip, a family trip? Is it a trip that's only by train? Is it a trip that's only by bus? Is it a trip that's only by RV? Like, what's the type? Is it a road trip? Is it a budget trip? Is it a hiking trip, boat trip, kayaking trip, right? All of these things go into trip type. Is it seasonal? Does it take place during certain seasons of the year? Are you putting together a leaf peeping trip in the northeast of the United States? So therefore you need to be there when leaf peeping season starts so you can get all these beautiful photos, and then next season around you can have blog post content for that area. Be thinking about that. And then the fourth kind of bucket of keyword strategy that you can develop is travel tips. So this can range from anything like how to pack, how to prepare, how to travel with kids, how to handle when things don't go right, those kinds of things. But it could also just be like, if you're a travel creator and you are teaching people how to go during leaf peeping season and get their own beautiful photos, how to take photos of those beautiful trees and they don't look like blah. Now, we have kind of talked about that keyword strategy. I have a couple of notes for you, and then I have a few more slides I'm going to pop up on the screen. The first note is that each blog post should get a series of Pinterest pins. That series of Pinterest pins, and we'll talk more about that in the content strategy section of this video, that series of Pinterest pins, each Pinterest pin should get a series of Pinterest keywords. Now, I recently talked about using a keyword clustering tactic in my video last week, and you can definitely go and reference that in the SEO playlist or just right here on the channel, and you can kind of see the framework around that. But basically each blog pin is going to get a keyword cluster, and you're going to use those keywords throughout your title, your description, and your text overlay. Now let's take a look at a couple of notes related to finding keywords on Pinterest and what to pay attention to, because I think a lot of people actually look over, not only looking over the trends tool, but I think they look over using some of the other tools. I'm not going to teach you how to use the 3 methods of finding keywords in this video. You can definitely reference the SEO playlist for that. There's plenty of tutorials here on this channel. However, the search tool is the search bar. The trends tool is a search tool. And then the ads manager also has a keyword research tool. So you do not need to pay for any third-party tools. You can just simply use Pinterest. So let's actually talk about Pinterest trends. So I want you to make sure, because you're a travel creator, and depending on how and where you create travel content, there might actually be people who could utilize your travel tips, travel hacks, things like that, when it's not necessarily related to their area of the world. So if you're like, you know, giving people 10 tips on how to car camp with their kids during fall, you could probably use those tips in Australia and North America, like in the United States. The outcome might be slightly different, the weather might be slightly different, but like packing a car for car camping is generally going to be the same. So given that, make sure, depending on the topic that you are targeting, you're looking at the regions inside the trends tool. Now, this isn't even something that I've talked heavily about on this YouTube channel. However, I have talked heavily about it inside of my membership. And you have the ability in the top right-hand corner of the trends tool to search by region. There's a bunch of different regions in there. So make sure when you were looking for keywords, number 1, you are filtering by that region and you are paying attention to the content or the keyword for the content and making sure that the phrasing that you're using matches the region that you are targeting. So for example, in the United States, we call vacations vacations. Pretty much the rest of the world calls them holidays. Listen, I don't know why the Americans think that they're so special and we can't just call them holidays as well, but you will notice this even in the trends tool represented. In the US, there's no really holiday packing list keywords. There might be a few, but the majority of them are vacation themed or have the word vacation in them. Whereas if you look at like the Nordic countries, they have one word on there that's vacation, but the rest of them are holiday related. So that's tip number 1, is to pay attention to that region. And if you do have tips that could affect the rest of the world, not necessarily affect as in like make change, but could be used by the rest of the world and not just where you live, make sure you're using keywords that are going to target those areas. So it might just be a slight change in language. And it's not something you're excluding, it's something you're including in your overall keyword for your Pinterest copy. So the next thing in the trends tool I want you to pay attention to is the demographics. I was recently just doing some keyword research for a client, and I kept noticing that the majority of the keywords in this specific niche had this word in it. And this word has become so synonymous with Gen Z. And yes, that platform is aging down, but it has become so synonymous with Gen Z that, you know, every single time you click on one of these keywords, especially if it's in the trends tool, it's going to sway or it's going to lean towards the 18 to 24 bucket. And that's aesthetic. So I want you to make sure that if you are targeting people that are older than that, if you don't actually necessarily have a Gen Z audience, or maybe you want to include them but you haven't started including them, pay attention to this. So go into the trends tool, select a keyword, and open it up into the screen where it's just there by itself. And then scroll down about midway to the page and you'll see a graph. Looks like this that's on the screen. That graph is going to be broken down by gender and age, and it's going to tell you who's most searching for that keyword. Now it's going to bucket them all together, and you can also use some filters on the main page of the trends tool to kind of only filter in the age groups that you want. But I think this is a really good just like learning method that you can kind of walk yourself through of like validating who is actually searching for this keyword and making sure we're targeting the right audience. So let's move on to talking about content strategy. And then we're going to talk about board strategy. So a little bit out of order here, but nonetheless, you can skip around or you can watch it in the order I've put it in. So remember, all of your keywords on Pinterest are going to map to not only your board strategy, but your content strategy as well. So the topics that you're making boards for are going to get pins for those boards that match those topics. Again, your content pillars or your keyword pillars might be destination guides, travel, seasonal travel, travel types, travel tips. You're going to go out and create a specific set of pins when you first publish a blog post. Now, sit with me here and promise me that you're not going to take this as gospel, okay? Nothing anyone ever tells you related to Pinterest strategy or any other marketing strategy on the internet can tell you with any degree of certainty, unless they work with the Pinterest business themselves, the corporation, or whatever corporation they're working with, can never give you anything with a degree of certainty, okay? So I'm gonna give you some advice right now that's just going to help you speed along your workflow generally and like get yourself ahead, but it's not like black or white. So promise me you're not going to take this as black and white advice. It's not. Here's what I do, what I suggest my membership students do, what I do for my clients, what I do for myself. Every time I publish a new blog post, I create 10 to 12 pins right away. Lately it's been leaning on the 12 number because I want to get basically like 3 months worth of content for one blog post in one go. 12 pieces of content, 12 Pinterest pins created right away. Now I'm going to show you in just a second how I organize my Canva account, and you will be able to see like how I can do this quickly because I stay so organized. But each individual Pinterest pin gets an individual title, individual description. It's using like the general same mix of keywords. However, if I'm looking at a calendar of 12 weeks and I notice that it really shifts from like summer to fall style keywords in that 12-week round, I'm making sure the keywords that I'm using for those pins for the fall group are scheduled in line with that season. So up to 90 days in advance, and they're not going past the season when that like keyword dies off basically. So pay attention to that, make your batch of Pinterest pins, get them in your Pinterest scheduler, and let them just go until the end of that 12 weeks. And then when it comes back around again, you can reevaluate, okay, has the season shifted and do I need to change my keyword type, get a new batch of keywords, or can I just use the same batch of keywords and make a new batch of pins and get them back in the queue? Do a mix of images and videos if possible. Canva has so many videos in their stock video library. You literally do not need to have your own videos if you don't want to, but I've been taking like little videos around the city, not generally when I'm biking, but like of other people biking without seeing their faces, of like leaves blowing, trees, flowers, the water, animals, things like that. All of that can be used as like a background video for a Pinterest pin with like a text overlay over the top. You do not need to break the mold here by creating content or videos specifically for each blog post. You can also just use stock video as well. And then when those pins run out, let's pop in some new variations like I mentioned. Okay, so I'm gonna pop a slide up on the screen here and you can see that it says example content strategy per post. Here is basically what I would suggest doing with your content strategy for Pinterest, just generally. Again, promise me, pinky promise, that you're not gonna take this as black and white nuance, because it's not. This is just like a general guidance. You wanna create Pinterest pins using evergreen keywords for every single batch. You also wanna incorporate any seasonal or trending keywords into each batch. Any affiliate links you mentioned in the blog post can also get their own standalone Pinterest pins. And then if you have any travel or inspiration photo or Instagram reels, this is a really great place where you could repurpose those into this batch of content. So let's look at this for the number of pins kind of per post. So if you're doing evergreen Pinterest pins for each blog post, 4 to 6 is a really good number. The seasonal or trending keywords, you can mix this up 3 to 5. I guess it really depends on how many seasonal keywords you find that are relevant. You might have less seasonal and more evergreen in this case. You can do 4 affiliate links, for example, where you do 4 affiliate pins featuring the products that you're using during the travel. And then if you have a few, just like 2 to 3 of the inspiration photos, stories, or Instagram reels that you could repurpose. Now, the style doesn't really matter as much, but you can do a mix of pins with text overlay and pins without text overlay. The videos can also be pins with or without text on top, if you're doing like Instagram Reels, for example. And then you basically just want to use a mix of keywords that target the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. Now, obviously, bottom of the funnel is going to be affiliate links. We're asking people to purchase a product through our link. So, you know, you're going directly to the bottom. Whereas your evergreen travel planning content might be top or even middle of the funnel, depending on if it's like a consideration. Should I go to Mexico or should I go to the Caribbean kind of blog post? Now, as you are thinking about this, remember to kind of mix and match those content pillars and keyword pillars, those destination guides, the seasonal travel, the trip types, and the travel tips into those. So be thinking as you're creating Pinterest pins for each blog post, how you could break this out. So you could take one destination guide and you could break it out by where you stayed, what you ate, what you did. I said where you stayed, that would be where you sleep. And then like, how did you get around? What was the whole travel process like? If you want to take a look at what I'm doing on my own travel blog these days, it's wheelingtodream.com/blog. And I'm basically doing travel guide style blog posts that are more experience based and less expertise based. I want to basically tell people what I did, how I did it, where we stayed, all of those things, but I don't want to seem like an expert on these areas because I'm not. Okay, so I promised you that we would talk about board strategy next. So let's talk about board strategy. Say it with me. My board strategy is based off my keyword strategy. So I'm going to create boards for the content I have in my library now, and I'm not going to worry about what I could create in the future. I promise you, as soon as you get started creating Pinterest pins and looking at keywords on Pinterest, you're going to get a flood of ideas of different ways that you could take this one blog post and dissect it and create different Pinterest boards and different Pinterest pins and showcase what you have done. Your board strategy based on your content pillars for your content and your keywords. You are going to again follow the theme of destination, trip type, tips, etc. Here's an example of a board strategy kind of breakdown of what you could do, like board structure, I guess is what we could call it. That's at least what I called it on the slides. So as you're looking at this slide, it says board structure by destination. So each destination gets its own board, and you'll see this on my own Pinterest account as well. So if it's Italy travel, Netherlands travel, if it's all of Europe travel, then because you've been to 20 different countries or whatever in Europe, then you could do a Europe travel board. If it's the United States, you could do an overall United States board, and then you could do the states inside the United States. You could do it by theme, so travel tips, budget travel tips, luxury escapes, family travel. And then by season, it would be like summer travel inspiration, winter travel inspiration, or winter getaways in this example. Fall in Europe, things to do in the fall in the Netherlands. That's a very long tail keyword. And then you can obviously add those boards for intent. So what is someone actually looking for related to travel? Are they looking for packing tips? Are they looking for, you know, essentials that they need to take with them to entertain their kids on the plane? And then you're going to start creating boards by content pillar. So here on the next slide, you can kind of see another just like example list of boards that I've actually created. Some of these myself. Some of these are for my own Pinterest account, but some of these are just inspiration that you could take and use for your own Pinterest account. So Europe travel ideas, Italy travel guide, summer travel destinations, holiday packing lists. Here's my advice for you when creating Pinterest boards. Use the exact keyword that is coming up in the search tool, the trends tool, the search bar. Use that exact phrase, and you could even make it a little longer. So if the exact phrase is packing lists, then packing lists for who? Packing lists for what purpose? So those content pillars that I keep harping on, destination, theme, season, tips, you could do packing lists based on destination, packing lists based on travel type or theme, packing lists based on summer, winter, fall, so based on season, or based on the niche of people that you're targeting. So is it busy moms? Is it solo travelers? Is it college student. So basically we're taking the short tail keyword of packing lists and we're adding on to it to really target a niche of people. You want to keep a mix of both evergreen boards and seasonal boards. It is totally okay if you come to the end of a season, let's say we're coming to the end of summer and we start pinning fall content and winter content. It's totally okay if that summer board sits and doesn't get pins for a while. But here is that same tip that I just told you earlier about regions in the Pinterest trends. If you notice that the Southern Hemisphere is searching for summer packing list tips in our winter, because we're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's because they have the opposite seasons as us and they're still looking for stuff. So there's still an opportunity for you to be pinning content on that topic and just attracting a different audience, a different group of people in the world. Now, if you have a board and you're like, okay, well, I only have one Netherlands blog post right now. This was me a while ago. You might not want to create a standalone board because you have one piece of content, or maybe you do. Again, this is the nuance. It does not matter. There are no hard and fast rules here. However, your board is likely to have a better user experience if you do have more content on it than just like one blog post. So I have 3 blog posts, let's say, on one country, one city, one town, one state, one province. Then create a board and put all of that on there. And then dissect it down based on all of those different pillars and create Pinterest pins for each of them. So then you can multiply that out. Instead of having 3 pins, you now have like 20. Let's move on to the last thing that I want to talk about today, which is workflow. This is where I'm actually going to show you my Canva process of how I organize my Canva account and how you can do yours to keep your pin creation process really fast. I'm going to tell you, if you're organized, you're more likely to be fast. So publishing workflow should be 3 to 5 pins per day. Again, be chill. It's not black and white, okay? If you can only do 1, do 1. 1 is gonna be a hell of a lot better than doing 1 per month. Okay, 1 per day is better than doing 1 per month. But if you can do 3 per day, if you can do 5 per day, the more bulk you can do per day, the better results you're going to get in the short term, because we're putting out more content for Pinterest to serve to our audience. So it's obvious that we would see reach faster. Now, that doesn't always happen because not everyone actually does exactly what I tell them to do, and they go off on their merry way and they don't optimize. They don't use keywords. They don't use the board strategy the way that I tell them to. And that's fine, it's on them. They have to take responsibility for those lack of results. However, the more content you can put out in a shorter span of time, so per day, the faster your results are going to compound. Okay? Off my soapbox. You can use the native scheduler on Pinterest, or you can use a paid scheduling tool like Tailwind, Later, Planoly, Buffer. Virally is a new tool that is coming out. It's actually out. It's coming onto the market. Metricool, among others. Recur Posts, there's tons of them. I have a blog post I can link in the description in a whole scheduler playlist if you want to hear more about Pinterest schedulers. The thing is, with the native scheduler on Pinterest, you can only schedule 100 pins max at a time, and you can only schedule up to 30 days in advance. So if you do want to schedule, let's say, all 12 of those pins that you made for your new blog post, you're going to need a Pinterest scheduler. This might be the time to invest in a Pinterest scheduler. You want to create a workflow for not only creating your Pinterest pins, but you want to have one for creating your pin copy. You can use the pin bot for this. This is something that I have available in my Shopify store. It's also available to my membership members. You can use this to generate pin copy based on lists of keywords that you find and you feed it. Then you also feed it your About Your Business worksheet, and it will write copy for you based on what you fed it, so you get better outcomes. I'm gonna show you my Canva workflow now. Okay, so I truly believe one of the things that can speed up your overall content creation process for Pinterest is truly getting yourself organized. So this year I just spent some time yet again like setting myself up and getting myself really organized. So since we're talking about the travel blog, I'm going to show you my travel blog organization for Canva. Now, some of this stuff needs organized in here. I just dropped some random stuff in here a while ago. But I do have lots of organization in these folders. So in the blog post folder, I have photos of all of the places or all of the blogs that I have focused on using this new method. So each blog post gets a folder, and each folder gets the photos and videos for that place as long as they'll upload. Some videos I take are too long and they won't upload, so I have this same organization method on my external hard drives. So it's the same process across all of my, folders where I save things, whether it's online or off. And then once you're inside, so let's say the Museums in The Hague post, I have a couple subfolders in here, and I want to go and actually further organize these because there are so many museums in The Hague and other museums that we plan on visiting. So I want to make sure these are all actually organized by place. And then you will also find inside of these designs. So these are just photos. There is a visiting art museums blog post that is kind of a listicle style. And you'll see inside of this one, I have the designs for this blog. So each blog post that has been finalized on my website has a folder like this, and it has the designs that I've put inside the blog post. And this really makes creating Pinterest pins as well as any other like blog photos or social media content super easy, because you can add custom sizes to each file. So you're not just stuck to doing blog photo size or horizontal photos. Like, you can have whatever size in these you want with their new update. So that's what I do. I just drop in the Pinterest pin images, and then I have a bunch of other photos that are Pinterest pin size. You can see here there's European art museums. I added a couple for art museums in The Hague after I visited those. And then there's just other tall Pinterest pin friendly size images in here that I can also save. So that is the process that I like to use inside of my Canva account. Now, aside from that, I have a folder full of my brand templates. These have been tweaked and edited a little bit. I don't use them all. And then I also have a subfolder for my Substack stuff, which is not very bumpin', but I basically use all the same photos for the blog post for my Substack. And then I have a couple things in here, images that I've started for website pages in the past. Like, these are not good for me right now. I need to probably update it, but that is that. And that's how you can really speed up your own process, by being so organized that you have no choice but to be fast. Now that you've seen my Canva workflow, let's briefly talk about the analytics that you need to track. Again, there's an entire analytics playlist on this channel. You can go watch any of those videos in depth. So I'm not going to talk about them in depth. This video is already way too long. But here are the things that I want you to track. I want you to track impressions, pin clicks, saves, outbound clicks, top pins, and top boards. And then I want you to go one level deeper, and I want you to, when you look at your top pins and you analyze them, I want you to analyze which keywords are related to those top pins. What are the topics? What's the keyword category? And are there themes throughout? Is there a lot in that category in your top pin section? Is there just one? Do you have a board on that topic? Can you add a board? I want you to be dissecting the information in this way. Again, you can use the pin bot to help you analyze any of this data. But those are basically the metrics that you want to track. I would suggest, honestly, tracking your data. You could collect it monthly and analyze it, but maybe do it like anywhere between monthly to quarterly. And then you can kind of see how you did over the last 3 months. And you can start to tweak and feed in more Pinterest trends and things like that. So you can look at it monthly, you can make some more snap decisions, but look at it on a more holistic level quarterly and really start to dissect. Do I need new pin types? Do I need new pin keyword categories? Do I need new Pinterest boards? And what are those that are coming topic-wise in the next 90 days. You can then refresh any of your content that was performing and you need new pins on because they've ran out. Be sure to track this in your Pinterest system. If you don't have a way to do that, I have a Pinterest system you can buy. It's also available to my membership members. And you can put together all of your content in one place, and you can kind of see when you pinned it last and all of that good stuff. That's it. That is your entire Pinterest strategy for your travel blog. This was a lot, and I think this will give you a really good place to start. If you need more Pinterest strategy advice, obviously all of the videos for SEO, all of the videos for workflows, for analytics, for pin creation, they're all here on the channel. You can go watch any of those videos over there, and I will see you in those.